You simply cannot afford to bring back Urban Meyer next year. It is too toxic. It is too problematic. It is too poisoned. The Jaguars actually don't have a choice here. Whatever it costs to buy him out, you must make a change. It is now middle of December, and he's at war with assistant coaches. He's throwing assistant coaches like Bernie Parmalee under the bus publicly. His franchise rookie quarterback is voicing his displeasure with things like James Robinson and how they're using him. And his team absolutely stinks. On top of it, he's emotionally detached. And early in the season, he stayed back after a loss to be in his own bar to hit on chicks as the team went back to Jacksonville to pick up the pieces. It's untenable. It is simply untenable. It is so poisoned, you can't bring him back. So that's the first part of this. The second part is, man, Urban Meyer should be humiliated and embarrassed and ashamed that he has allowed this franchise to get this sideways this quickly. It's not like we're not used to the Jaguars losing. We've seen that before. We just haven't seen them be humiliated personally by their own head coach. He has, in one fell swoop, in less than a season, not only continued the losing, but made them dysfunctional and internally strife-driven and a complete emotional mess as he swings between anger and being completely aloof. This is astonishing in how comprehensive the deterioration has been. How quick and comprehensive the entire thing has burned to the ground. Urban Meyer daring to challenge his assistant coaches by saying, I'm a winner, you guys are losers. What have you done? What have you accomplished? Why should you be on staff? Validate yourself. Number one, he says he didn't call them losers. Okay, something happened because he didn't deny that happened. Something happened where behind closed doors, he was with his assistant coaches, probably after the Bernie Parmalee thing with James Robinson that made Urban Meyer look bad, and did something where he called out individually all of his assistant coaches. Hey, Herb, just a little heads up, you hired them. Whatever their accomplishments or lack thereof was, you still found them valuable. Their accomplishments didn't change since you took over this job. You hired them based on what those accomplishments were or weren't. So the idea of what they need to prove themselves to him, that should have happened during the hiring process. Once they're on your staff, Herb, it's your fault for having them. Number two, yesterday, the Jacksonville Jaguars play a good playoff caliber team who's one of the best teams of the AFC, correct? So the Jaguars are going to have to, at some point, protect Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars ran the football 8 times. The Jaguars ran the football against a division foe on the road that has 9 wins 8 times. Does that seem like they are protecting Trevor Lawrence? Or does that seem like Trevor Lawrence is basically veal parmesan to opposing defenses. We'll just toss your head out there. You run for your life, throw it 1,000,000 times, see what happens. I get it. The offensive line's not very good. I get it. They didn't run the football effectively when they tried. But does that seem like a smart idea? Hey, Trev, against this 9-win team, one of the best teams in the AFC, go ahead and throw 40 times today. We'll have no running game to support you whatsoever. I mean, it's professional negligence. Now, being at war with Marvin Jones, okay. Urban also says that that's blown out of proportion. But Tom Pelissero reported it from NFL Network. First of all, Tom's not a guy that just throws a bunch of stuff against the wall. Many of you have probably never heard of Tom Pelissero. That's because he just puts his head down, does his job. He is not a guy that throws out their nuclear attacks and reports. So when Pelissero says it happened, my inclination is that it happened, but also ESPN verified that it happened. So you've got ESPN validating a different media's report. If they could deny it, they would. If they could find a hole in that, they would. Then that would be their report. They're saying, no, that checks out. So you're going to tell me that ESPN validates a report from NFL Network and it didn't happen? Come on. So again, Urban Meyer is making enemies in that locker room that include team leaders and mild-mannered veterans. Oh, to go along with the rookie quarterback that had to go to Urban Meyer and say, why is James Robinson not playing here? This is ridiculous. It is so complete of a dysfunctional mess that you simply cannot afford to bring him back. There's just no way. So Shad Khan just has to find a way to buy him out and get out from under this mess. Whatever that costs, you just have to do it. You just have to bite the bullet and do it. And yes, it creates instability. And yes, it means you're back in the coaching carousel 1 year later. And yes, it means you have to go through yet another rebuild or another reboot and restart. But you just can't bring Urban Meyer back. And not for nothing, I know we joke about the Costanza thing quite a bit of trying to get fired. But that actually feels right now to be one of the most probable dynamics of this. One of two things is happening. Either Herb is so unfamiliar with losing and so unfamiliar with being a villain or a punchline that he is swinging between anger that's pouring out and complete emotional detachment. Or B, he's like, you know what? I don't need this, but I'm committed for 3 or 4 years, whatever that deal is worth, and I'd rather just be fired. But I can't quit because then I don't get my money. So I'm just going to make this a living hell around here until I get fired, and thus I can collect. It's one of the two. Either he has no emotional maturity to handle this situation, which, by the way, I don't need to bring up that he's got a terrible reputation everywhere he's ever been. Nobody who's ever been around him, nobody who's ever covered him has ever said this is a great guy. He's been a winner, no doubt, but so either he's completely unfamiliar emotionally with handling this type of thing, and it's just he's all over the place, or he's actively trying to get fired. It's one of the two. Because now we're at a point where every day there's something else that's humiliating. Again, this is remarkable. We knew the Jaguars were bad, but could they be bad and interesting because they're so dysfunctional? That's the worst part of bad. You could be boring bad. That's fine. There's boring bad. The Jaguars aren't boring bad. And because they're interesting bad, it's got to end. It just has to end. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Twitter, DA on CBS. Mac and Bear tweets, good morning, guys. You all know how I feel about Herb. Please get his ass out of Jayville. He's got to go. Hashtag fire Urban's ass now.
That's garbage.